The wind came first, sliding down from the red mesas like a warning, lifting dust and sage into the late afternoon sun as if the land itself were breathing. And it was in that wind that people first heard the words attributed to her. "No man is strong enough for me," not spoken as a challenge, not shouted in pride but carried quietly, firmly, the way truths are spoken by those who have already tested them against the world and found no reason to lie. Her name was Ayanna Red Cloud, an Apache woman whose presence on the frontier unsettled men who mistook strength for loudness and power for cruelty. And long before she met the cowboy who would change the rhythm of her days, she had learned to measure herself not against men but against hunger, cold loss, and the long memory of a people who endured by bending without breaking. And when strangers passed through the borderlands near the San Pedro River, they spoke of her in half-whispered legends, how she could track a wounded deer across stone, how she could ride from dawn to dusk without complaint, how her gaze did not drop when men tried to pin it down, how she had turned away suitors not with mockery but with calm refusal, because she knew the cost of tying her fate to someone who wanted to own what should be honored. Ayanna lived between two worlds, not fully accepted by either, trading hides and herbs at the settlement when necessary and returning before nightfall to the high desert where her mother had taught her to read clouds and her father had taught her that strength was a responsibility, not a trophy. And it was there, years earlier, that she learned what made her words true when raiders came and took her family's horses, when sickness followed and carried off her mother with a silence louder than grief, when promises from uniformed men dissolved like mirages, leaving only footprints that led nowhere. And through it all, Ayanna did not harden into bitterness but sharpened into resolve, believing that if she was to survive, it would be by her own hands and her own judgment. The settlement men tried to name her, tried to fix her into stories they could digest, but she did not belong to their hunger for spectacle. And so she remained an edge, respected by some, resented by others, until the day a dust-smeared rider appeared on the horizon with a limp in his gait and a steadiness in his eyes that did not flinch at silence. A cowboy named Caleb Holt, who had come west chasing work and ended up chasing nothing at all, because the cattle drive that promised him pay had broken apart in bad weather, leaving him with a tired horse, a rifle with one good sight, and the kind of patience earned by men who had learned the long way that forcing things only made them worse. Caleb did not arrive looking to test anyone, and perhaps that was why fate took notice, for when he stopped at the river to water his horse, he found Ayanna already there, washing blood from her hands where a thorn had torn her palm, while she dressed a rabbit, and the moment hung not with drama but with recognition, two people aware of each other without urgency, without fear, measuring not dominance but distance. And when Caleb nodded, only once, respectful, restrained, Ayanna felt something unexpected loosen in her chest. Not desire, not trust, but curiosity, which for a woman who had learned to survive by certainty was the most dangerous thing of all. They spoke little at first, trading only what was necessary, and when Caleb asked if the water ran clean downstream, she answered plainly, and when she asked if his horse was lame, he did not deny it, and there was a kind of honesty in that exchange that stayed with her long after he rode away toward the settlement, because he had not asked her name as if he were entitled to it, nor stared as if she were a puzzle to be solved. And for days afterward, the wind seemed to carry his quiet presence back to her camp, until rumors reached her through traders that a cowboy had taken work, mending fences at the old Miller Spread, a place known for broken posts and stubborn land, and Ayanna smiled once briefly at the thought of a man trying to fix what others had abandoned, because she knew something about stubborn land and the people drawn to it. The test came sooner than either expected, when a flash storm swelled the river and stranded a group of settlers on the far bank, panic rising faster than the water. And it was Ayanna who rode out first, rope secured, calculating angles while men shouted plans that went nowhere. And it was Caleb who followed without being asked, positioning his horse where she pointed, trusting her judgment as if it were the most natural thing in the world. And together they ferried the frightened across in silence broken only by the river's roar, until the last child was safe and the crowd's gratitude turned awkward, unsure who to thank more, the woman they had never quite accepted, or the cowboy who had not tried to claim the victory. And when it was done, Ayanna stood dripping at the bank, chest heaving, and said the words again, not as a declaration but as a memory. No man is strong enough for me, and Caleb, wringing water from his hat, only smiled, not offended, not amused but thoughtful, as if he heard something beneath the surface. And he replied with the first full sentence he had offered her. Maybe strength isn't what you think it is. And that was when the story truly began, not with conquest or surrender, but with two lives shifting by a single degree, enough to change where the road would eventually lead. And as night fell and the stars burned bright over the desert, Ayana returned to her camp, aware that the land felt different beneath her feet. Not safer, not softer, but alive with possibility. And if you felt that moment when a story opens its door just a crack, then stay with us. Because what follows will test every belief she holds and every promise he has avoided. And before you ride into the next chapter, remember to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss how this meeting reshapes two unbreakable wills into something neither of them could have faced alone.